Welcome back to the Anfield Exchange and welcome to our episode of Keep or Sell, where we're going to do a rundown of all the players in the squad and see who's available to sell, who we think we should sell, what we can bring in for those players, and who we should keep. We're going to take a look at the finances and see what sort of money Liverpool can raise for this transfer window. Look, we all know we've been busy so far. We're in talks with Frimpong. That looks like it's going to get over the line at the time of this video being recorded. That hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it's not far away. And there's rumours with linking us with lots of other players. So we're going to take a look at what sort of finances Liverpool can come up with and how much of our own money we'll need to put into this and how much we could potentially be spending in the summer if the right players become available. So first off, we're gonna start with keep or sell, and we're just going to run through some players, have a little bit of a discussion about each player, and then we'll move on to the finance side of things. So the first player in is Harvey Elliott. So for me, that's a keep. I wouldn't let Harvey Elliott go. I think we've had him for a while. He isn't a first team player, and I think as long as he's happy to acknowledge that he's not a first team player, and he's probably not going to be one next season, he's a very good player still, and he's one that can come off the bench and have an impact. And what I like about Harvey Elliott is he's one of those players who can come onto a pitch when Liverpool are struggling to break down a team like a Nottingham Forest who have a low block. He can open the game up, and I think that's a very vital part of playing football and a very vital player to have in your squad. So yeah, for me, Harvey Elliott, it's a keep. Now, the next one, there has been rumours, it's Jarell Quansah, and there's been rumours this morning that Newcastle potentially still looking at Quansah. For me, again, it's a keep. Now, depending on what you bring in the transfer window, if you do bring in a centre-back, I may potentially look at giving Quansah a loan to get him some game time, to get him minutes, because I think that's what he needs, and he's probably not going to get it again at Liverpool next season. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Canate at minute in regards to his contract. So yeah, I would be keeping Quansah 100%. I think he's young. I think he's athletic. I think he's got bags of potential. I just think he needs to get some game time, and I think a loan would do that. I would like to see him loaned out to a Premier League club, maybe a Bournemouth, to replace Dean Huijsen, who's going to Real Madrid, and just get him some minutes in the Premier League, get him ready to come into Liverpool's team and sort of take over once Van Dijk is too old to do it, and we'll see what happens with Canate. But if Canate leaves, then I'd like to have Quansah with a season's worth of Premier League football under his belt. The next one we're going to look at is Darwin Núñez. Right, I still love Darwin Núñez. It's been an up and down relationship with Liverpool and the fans. I would like to keep Darwin Núñez, but I don't think that's going to be possible. I think we need to bring in a striker. Because of that, we need to let either Darwin Núñez or Jota go. I think Darwin Núñez financially is the answer to letting him go. So reluctantly, I would sell Darwin Núñez. I think, look, he's had his time. I think there's reasons why it hasn't worked out for him. But I still think there's a world-class player in there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves Liverpool and goes and sort of performs well elsewhere. I would look. It's a catch-22 because obviously you want to bring as much money as possible in for these players, and I would like to bring in some good money for Núñez because obviously we spent a lot of money on him. I think from that aspect you would like Saudi to come in for him. But from a personal level, I would like to see him to go into another team in Europe and do well. Because I do think there is a brilliant player in there. So yeah, reluctantly Darwin Núñez. I think we've got to be looking around the 45 million mark for Darwin Núñez. And I think we'll cut our losses and run with that one. Next up, Luis Diaz. Interesting one for me because obviously Luis Diaz he's approaching the end of his contract. I think he's performed a lot better in the last sort of month or so than what he had done previously. But for me, I'm still in the boat of I would like to keep Luis Diaz. I think we should offer him a new contract. And look, I think he's on 40 grand a week, and he's been on that since he started. So I think he's definitely earned himself more than that. So yeah, I would be keeping Luis Diaz. Kelleher. he's been an unbelievable number 2 goalkeeper for us. But obviously we've got Mohamedashvili coming in the summer. So it unfortunately looks like Kelleher's going to be out of the door, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with it. I think he deserves it. I think it's a good deal on all ends if we can let him go and he can go and sign for someone else and start playing first team football. In terms of a transfer fee, I think you've got to be looking around 20-25 million for Kelleher, just because we've seen what he can do when he's on the pitch, and he's saved Liverpool a lot of times when Alisson's been out injured. So yeah, Kelleher for me, sell 25 million. Next one I've got on the list here is Endo. So I've seen rumours that Endo might be leaving in the summer. For me, under no circumstances can you sell Endo. He is a cult hero. He's just brilliant in it. He loves the club. He loves. You almost get the feeling from him that he just loves to be on the football pitch and he loves to put a tackle in. So yeah, for me, Endo, brilliant player, brilliant option to bring on. Like Harvey Elliott, he's a brilliant option to bring on when you're trying to defend the lead. So yeah, I would be keeping Endo. Next on the list is Kostas Tsimikas. For me, this is a sell. I've not been. Look, I like Tsimikas, but I don't think he's at the standards of Liverpool Football Club. It looks like we will potentially be bringing in a new left back in the summer. I think Robertson will be the competition for this left back, whether it be Kirkez or what. But I think Robertson and let's go with the assumption that we get Kirkez. I think Robertson and Kirkez will be battling it out for the left back position. I think that would do Robertson the world of good, to be honest, because he's not going to be playing every game for Liverpool, so it will give him a chance to rest up and be able to be more consistent in his performances. And for that reason, yeah, we don't need 3 left backs on the books, and I think Tsimikas is the one that will find himself moving on. Unfortunately, good servant for us, but yeah, I think Kostas will be a sell. I think we'll get 20 million for Kostas. I think that's easily. We could get more. But yeah, Kostas 20 million. I'm fine with that. Quickly on a couple of younger players, Tyler Morton. There's rumours that we might be letting him go. I'm fine with that. I think Tyler Morton probably needs to go away again and play football as well. I think £10 million would be a fair price for him. And I think Liverpool will get that. And James McConnell, quickly, under no circumstances would I sell James McConnell, but I would definitely be putting him up for loan this season to try and sort of develop his career and try and get him ready for the rigours of what Liverpool Football Club offer. I think James McConnell's not the only young player I'd be loaning out. I'd be looking to try and get Jayden Danns on a season-long loan as well for next season, maybe in the Championship. I know Sunderland had the sort of offer accepted for a loan deal in January, and that didn't work out because Jayden Danns obviously picked up an injury. So I think it would be important for Jayden Danns to go out there and try and get a full season under his belt and try and sort of put the injury behind him, if I'm honest. Next up, Jota. Same reasons as Nunes. I'm going to keep Jota. I think, yes, we know he's got an injury record. Arne Slot, what I will say, does seem to have kept him quite available in the second half of this season. But purely for the fact that he scores goals, I'm keeping Jota as backup to a striker that we bring in the summer. Chiesa. My opinion would be keep Chiesa. I don't know what's gone on at the club, but Chiesa doesn't seem to be getting any minutes, and I think it's unfair on Chiesa. I do have a theory that Arne Slot brought him in, but when they brought him in, it was for 10 million with the ambition to sell him for profit this summer. It's looking likely that might happen. Napoli have shown an interest. The figures are reportedly around the £25 million mark. For me, I would love Chiesa to stay, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But look, it's keep or sell. I'm going to say keep. So I'm not going to take them figures into account for the financial element of this video. So I'm going with keep Chiesa. I do not want to sell him. Konate next. Now this is a tough one. So obviously Konate is class. We all know Konate is brilliant. We love Konate. The issue we've got with Konate is that it stinks of Trent Mark 2. He's not agreeing a deal. Those deals seems to have sort of slowed down massively, and Real Madrid are potentially are reportedly interested in Canate, but we won't want to pay any money for him. We want him when his contract's up in the summer. So, look, for me, we've got a busy summer ahead of us. I would certainly be looking at, if Canate is not going to sign a deal now, my what I would be doing if I was Richard Hughes would be looking for a replacement for Canate, and I would try and get the Canate deal signed, but I'd have a deadline. If for example he's not signed a contract by the beginning of the season, I would be looking to sell him. If he's not signed a deal by the end of July, I'd be looking to sell him. Just because you want to get something for him. He is a world class player. As a player himself, I would love to keep him at Liverpool, but I'd rather sell him now than lose out on any money for him. What could you sell him for now? I think his value is about 80 million. If you're going to sell him this summer, I think you could probably get up to 40, 50 million, just because you know his contract's potentially going to expire and he's going to leave for a free. So yeah, 40, 50 million I would sell, and I would chop my hands off at 40, 50 million. Even 30 I think I'd take, because you just can't risk losing him for nothing in the summer. Final player now, Ben Doak. He's obviously been injured a latter part of the season. He was on loan at Middlesbrough. He's had a very good season actually in the Championship. I think for me, Ben Doak, I don't think he's going to make that step up to a Liverpool player. I could be wrong, but for me, the value that's being put on him at 20 million, I would be saying, sell Ben Doak for 20 million. I'd be happy with that. I think Bournemouth have shown an interest in him, but we'll wait and see what happens in the summer. One thing I do want to say, so obviously this is going to lead on to the financial aspect of it. So Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving for Real Madrid. If he'd have signed a 4-year deal with Liverpool at, say, 350k a week, I know it wouldn't have been that high, that would have cost Liverpool 70 odd million over 4 years. So is that money available as well, because they haven't got that deal done? So there is money there to invest. So look, I work it out. If I'm looking at the finances, we got 45 million for Nunes. I got 25 on Kelleher, 20 on Costas, 10 on Tyler Morton. I got 20 on Ben Doak. That works out at 70, 80, 90, 120 million. Add on to that the 70 million that you've saved from Trent Alexander-Arnold, which takes you to 190 million. So that's 190 million raised in transfer fees alone this summer, if you let those players go. If you let Canate go, you're looking at, again, over 200 million in transfer fees. So the total figure I've got is 230 million, including the Canate. Now, that pays for Alvarez. That would be my preference. I want Alvarez over Isak. That pays for Alvarez. He's got 130. I think it's 130 million euros release clause with Atletico Madrid. I would go out and pay that with the funds you bring in as a club, and you've still got left over then. So if we're looking at the investment that Liverpool could potentially make. So of that 230 million, I've spent 130 of it. Let's say, for example, I've got 100 million left over. Frimpong looks like it's happening. That's going to happen for 30 million, a release clause. For me, I would be going out to get Kirkes, 50 million. He's got a release clause. I'd be looking to spend around 50 million, 40 to 50 million on a young centre back as well. And then a midfielder. I've seen links with Adam Wharton. Florian Wirtz, I think, is going to be a little bit too ambitious. I don't think we're going to make that move. But Adam Wharton, 40, 50 million. Again, if you're looking for players around that mark, I think you've got Adam Wharton, you've got Kirkes, you've got Frimpong, who can all develop and reach their potential in the next few years. By doing that, you're looking at only investing 20 to 40 million of your own money, because you've raised those money in sales. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting summer. There's definitely money there for Liverpool to spend. I'm expecting us to go out this summer, and probably by the end of it, I would expect us to have spent around 250 to 300 million pounds. again, that won't all be money that has been taken out of the club. That will be money that has been raised in selling players, and I think we've got plenty to do that. But one thing you do want to be careful with, you don't want to end up in a position where you haven't got the depth, because I think Liverpool this season, even though Arne Slot hasn't really used it, we've had the depth in the squad to cover any injuries. If you look at Arsenal on the other hand, they haven't had that, and these injuries have they've struggled this season. You've got to be careful. You can't lose the strength in depth, but this is all stuff that Arne Slot will be looking at and Rich Hughes will be looking at. But yeah, in terms of transfers, we don't have to put too much money in, and we could be spending about 250 to 300 million. I know a lot of you in the comments are going to be saying that's not how FSG work. They're raising the funds. FSG spend what we raise, and by our calculations, if these players are leaving, and look, these are just estimations. Darwin Núñez, I've got him down for 45 million. I think the Saudis came in last year for 70 million offer, so there could be even more money there. But yeah, I think it's going to be a massive summer. We'll have to wait and see who we bring in, but I think it's clear that we're going to be letting a few people go as well. So let me know what you think of the video. Let me know who you would like to Liverpool to bring to the club, and I'll see you on the next one.